You ever wonder how some people get to these 100K months on Amazon? Every time you go out your house, you see 6 or 7 packages, but you're not understanding like what it takes to actually get there. In this video, I'm gonna give you the exact recipe for how you get to those 100K months. One thing, if you're a brand new seller, some of these things might fly over your head. Don't worry about it. We have a ton of other videos where we go into like just the beginning aspect of just getting started. This video is more about those people who have started selling. They're doing maybe a few hundred, a few $1,000s, up to maybe even 10 grand a month. But there's a gap between where they currently are to get into those 6-figure months. I got you. But if you're not already, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more about how you can grow an Amazon FBA business in 2025 and onward. I've been in this business for about 5 years and sold over $30 million on Amazon with my 2 partners. So I think we know a thing or two. And our goal right now is really not only growing our business, but helping people get to those 6 and maybe even 7-figure months by learning some of the systems we've learned over the past few years and implementing them so they don't make half the mistakes that we made along the way, losing a ton of money. So pay attention. Let's jump into it. What separates those people making 0 to a few thousand a month all the way up to the ones that do 100K? Before I start off, this is a 2-part video. In the second video, I'm gonna go about what separates people that do 100K a month from the ones that do $1 million a month, because there's a pretty substantial difference there. But in this video, going over 4 things, 4 levers you gotta make sure you're focusing on when you get into the 100K month. To kick it off, one thing you're gonna worry about is having the right vehicle. So really, vehicle is just a business model. I just got off a phone with a lady. She started selling in October and she was really struggling to get to that next level. And she was doing something called retail arbitrage. And that is, for those of you who don't know, is literally just going to like stores. She was going to Costco, buying products and selling it back on Amazon. Her goal was to get to $30,000 a month in profit. Now let's think about this. This is a store, right? This is a store. And you, as an individual, think that you are going to walk into these stores, boop, boop. How many stores you gonna need to walk into for you to come out with $100,000 worth of sales and do this every month? Is that really feasible? Is that really scalable? Like, literally just think about the business model and why you got into this business. Yes, it was about money, but I'm not gonna go into a store and like to get to 100K a month in sales, you have to spend about 40 to 50 grand, right? And we'll talk more about funding. So hopefully it doesn't scare any of you, because I didn't start with 40 or 50 grand. I started with $2,500, but we'll get into that. You think you're gonna go into the store and spend 40 grand, right? How many stores you really need to go into? So when you think about the business model, is it the one that's scalable for you to actually be able to achieve your goal? Retail arbitrage, buying at a retail price from a retail location, selling back on Amazon is great if you're on a low budget, like $1,000, $1,500, maybe even $2,000. After that, you need to get into a better model, a more scalable one, because that's why you got into this business in the first place. This was not the right one for her. Another one that people try is dropship. Now, I know dropshipping works, but it does not work on Amazon in the US. Amazon US hates dropshippers. It had its reign back in 2020, 2021, where you could just kill it on dropshipping. But the reality is Amazon is a customer first platform. When you dropship something, you are literally letting product go from a supplier, manufacturer, all the way to a customer. No one's checking to make sure, hey, is this the right product? Is it the right color? Is it the right model? Is it all of that stuff? Is it getting it on time? And it creates a very negative customer experience. Amazon does not like dropshippers. They have banned a ton of dropshippers. They do not want it on its platform. It causes a bunch of like just a poor experience for the customers. So if you're gonna do dropshipping, keep it on Shopify, maybe TikTok, stuff like that, but not Amazon, right? Even though it works and you don't need as much capital up front, why would you go against the grain of what the platform is literally telling you? We do not want this, right? And trying to go uphill battle. Don't do these. Do not do these. What you have to do is you have to pick between the 2 models that actually work, which is wholesale and private label. Now, we do wholesale, we do private label as well, but we do wholesale primarily because it's an easier model to get into, right? I'm not creating a brand, I'm not creating a logo, I'm not marketing, I'm not waiting months for samples, I'm not taking the risk of making a product that no one's ever heard of, right? I'm selling brand name products. Think about it like an online version of a Target or a Walmart. Some people start in private label and you can't. You just have to have a higher risk tolerance and be okay with not making money for your first 4 to 6 months. If that's you, great. Private label is a great route with your higher risk tolerance. I did not have that when I first started. I was scared. I only had maybe 20, 25 grand to my name at that time, like in terms of liquid capital. So I was not taking the risk of going into something and potentially losing it all. Now, yeah, we could take those bigger plays because it's coming out of the cash flow the business is making. But you pick one of these, right? And just one. Do not do both. Just pick one, stick with it. That's how you gotta run this business, right? Now we got that. We're picking the right model, one of these 2, and we're sticking with it. Let's get on to number 2. The number 2 thing you have to do is do not pick too many freaking categories, right? There are certain categories you wanna avoid. So let's look at these. These are like the reds. Electronics, jewelry, clothing, make shoes. Really high return rate. It's as simple as that. they have like 30% or more return rates, because when people buy electronics, what happens? They break them, they don't want it anymore. It's more expensive products. Boom, your money's held up with Amazon with these return rates. Negative, right? Not when you're starting off. You can take that risk later down the line. Negative when you first start. Don't get capital tied up. Jewelry. People buy jewelry. It looks great in the picture. When it comes, it looks like crap. They return it. No. Clothing, shoes. People do not know their size. They'll buy small, medium, large, extra large. Oh, the medium fit, right? Send the other 3 back. Return rate is super high. We're not playing with that. Same thing with shoes. I don't know if I'm size 8.5, 9, 9.5, 10. I don't know. Let me buy a few. It's free returns anyway, right? So you stay away from that. Now, good categories would be something like grocery, very beginner friendly, maybe too beginner friendly, honestly, but it works. Pets, beauty, tools, garden, health, etc. Damn near every other category is good. Just avoid those main 4. But the thing about it is not just, okay, all these categories are good, let me jump around. What you need to do is pick one, right? What I see a lot of people do is they'll make like 2K in grocery, and they have 3K to inventory in pet, and 4K in beauty. And what's happened is they're lacking depth to their catalog. When you have a supplier that's selling you pet products and you are spending 3K a month, 4K a month, 5K a month, chances are there's more products you can get from them, or there's more pet supplies that you can get access to. Once you focus on a category, you become a master of that category. You can get into one category and focus that way up to like literally more than 100K. I've done it to up to 200K in beauty, just focusing on that before I started diving out to other categories. Become a master of one category. Stop with the shiny object syndrome, really. It's like running around just trying to make it work. Pick one, stick with it, know that there's money to be made, and find the supplies with the right products. Do not spread yourself too thin, become a master of one category. I can't stress this shit enough. Sorry for cursing, but it's that important. Hopefully this is helping. Leave something in the comments. Just let me know if there's anything like you want me to dive a little deep into. If you have any questions about anything, trust me, I have time. I'll make a video for it. I'll help you guys out, because this is some of the stuff that I wish I had when I first got started. And let me know what categories you're selling to. That's always interesting to hear, like what people are selling it right now. But for us, just so you know, these are our main categories here. We do a lot of grocery, pets, beauty, health, and we do some tools. We do 5 categories now. My primary category, my partner does a lot of beauty and grocery. I stay in pets and health mostly. Now let's get on to the next thing. I think this is super important and often overlooked, which is just your funding, right? Now going back to what I was saying, to get to 100K a month in sales, you need to have about like 40 to 50K for inventory. Now I did not start with that, like I was saying. I started with $2,500. I made my first buy for some Korean beauty products. I made $800 on profit. I said that was cool. Only took me about a month to turn $2,500 into what, $3,300. Like let's continue to pump this machine. I was able to reinvest profits for a while because I didn't need the money, and then I was able to scale up the business. But the thing about it is, when you want to get to like that 40, 50, you might not be able to keep just reinvesting profits till you get there. You can start looking into stuff like business credit cards, business lending, all these other things that can play. There are traditional ways that look at your credit, and there are unconventional ways that do not care what the hell your credit score. Whichever one you want to do, go ahead and do it, but funding becomes important. You need to keep an eye on where your funding capacity is. But that's not what I'm focusing on right here with funding. What I actually want to talk about is playing ball on the right field. What does that mean? Different tiers of this. So I'm going to talk about, this is not retail arbitrage, this is utilizing retail stores. I'll go into that. Local, distrib, national, I'll just say this for now, and then brand direct. And there are tiers here. You have like 4 to 10K, I would say. Probably changed the game for me. Like literally changed like the way I thought about money completely. This was a product we were selling and we were buying. It was a prep product. I went to a local retail store. I negotiated the price with them. I was like, we're selling it maybe like $60. I was like, hey, I needed at 41 or whatever the hell I needed it at to make like, I was making like $6. Nothing crazy, but $6. It was selling so fast. I would literally go to the bank. Throw me on partner, we were selling drugs, right? Selling drugs because we were pulling out like 70, 80 grand in cash every week from this. Like, what the? These guys pulling out 70, 80 grand in cash. Go and buy these products at $40 a pop. I think it was $40 a pop. Make $6 a sale. Time we drove to the warehouse, we were sold out. We were up like, forgot how many grand in profit. I'm talking about like a drive from a pet store, an hour away. We probably made like 3, 4 grand on a drive. I'm like, this is the best drive ever, man. I'm chilling. I'm yelling out the window and all this crazy stuff. But the reason I say go to retail stores when you first start is you build a very personal connection. When you have less capital, you want that personal connection because they get to know your face. If you go to a retail store, right, what happens? The average retail store, somebody comes in and spends $100, $200, $300, $400. That's a great customer for them. You're coming in there and saying, hey, I can spend $4,000 to $10,000 a month with you. They're not gonna open doors for you. They're gonna make that work. That's money in their pocket. Your dollar goes a lot further there. Now, versus if you take that and go to a national distributor, they do not give who, let me say shits about your 4 to 10K, your small fry to them. You do not want to go to national distributors until you have about 50K or more. That's when you mean a lot to them. Like a 50K order straight off the rip for them, they're gonna start doing some stuff for you that makes sense, like going directly to the brand, negotiating deals with you, all of this cool stuff that with those national distributors. So be aware of the size of the business. A smaller business, your dollar goes further. A bigger business, your dollar does not go as far, so you have to spend more money with them. And then you have local distributors. Like think about the people that will sell to your local beauty supply store, your local pet store, your local grocery. Now, anywhere from like, I would say, honestly, there's a little overlap here. I mean, you can do a little less than 8K, but 8K to about 40K, I would go local distributors. And there's not a limit cap on local distribution, but the one thing that you have to think about is sometimes they don't have enough inventory at times. A retail store, if I could spend more than 10K, I would usually go to a local distributor because they're not gonna have enough inventory for me to buy. Even though they can get it, sometimes the lead times can kind of throw you off. So as you go into bigger distribution channels, inventory becomes less and less of an issue, and you're spending more money, so you're able to build a better relationship with them. But when you start off, know what tier you're in and work on that tier. Brand direct. Now, brand direct, I'm gonna talk more about in the second part of this video, where I talk about how to actually get to $1 million months, like what the difference between 100K and $1 million month is. You don't really want to touch brand direct when you get into 100K, and the reason is you don't know enough about the business yet. You don't have enough money really for most of these larger brands to be able to spend enough to actually take over their brand. And you go to a brand direct, I can spend 5K, like, yo, dude, like they're good. Like they don't need you to spend 5K with them, usually a brand. When you go to them and say, yeah, I've been spending some money with you and I can spend, 200, 300K, you catch their ear and you have the knowledge that you can help the brand. So those are the key differences. All right, moving on to the last one before we wrap this up. And I think this one is pretty important, but it is the team. Now, building a team. If you're like me, I came from a traditional W-2 mindset, right? I was working for 7 years after college for the city of New York. I didn't know like how to build a team. I was part of a team, right? And I had people under me. I had like 200 directs under me. So it's not like I didn't have, I guess, a team, but they were directs. Like I still worked in isolation a lot of the time. I brought that mentality over to the business. Now, we were still able to hit 100K a month without me doing this, to be fair. Like I joined in like the end of March, beginning of April 2020, and by November 2020, we had hit our first 6-figure month. We did about 120K that month. But it was very difficult. Like it was an uphill battle. Like we were fighting an uphill battle, so it was dumb. What you always want to do is, as quick as humanly possible, you want to have at least a virtual assistant, 1 or 2, and you want to have them almost replicate yourself. Now, the issue I see with people that build team is they do one of 2 things. They do too soon and they do too late. So I was in the second camp where I was waiting way too long to get a team. We were literally, by the time I got like a first real hire, we were doing about almost $200,000 a month, and I was burning myself out between my job and the business. Like it was great money. I was excited, but I was burning myself out. The quicker you can hire someone, especially for your non-income generating tasks, is the better. But the other side of that is you do not want to hire anyone who you do not know what they are doing. Meaning you need to learn the business before you outsource. You need to learn the business, you need to document your steps, then you need to find someone to replicate. The ideal way to do this is learn A to Z. Get your business to like 10, 15K a month by yourself, because you're gonna learn the ins and outs of it. Now you hire a virtual assistant or a staff member, and you teach them exactly what you do. Now you literally just double output. And if you get 2 VAs, you potentially triple output. And just that change alone can bring you from 10K to 30K or 20K to 60K, because you've just hired more people to do exactly what you do. And that's the simplest way to actually just increase efficiency. Instead of working yourself to the bone, hire somebody to actually, what the hell is that? All right, sorry, somebody called me. Hire somebody to help you with the actual workflow. One of the quickest people that you need to get on your team is someone to prep and pack your items. If you're using a prep center, that takes care of that. But if not, get your ass off the prep. It is the waste of time. It is not income generating. You need to focus your time on what brings in the money, which is finding more profitable products. Hire a team. Replicate yourself as quick as possible, but not before you know what you're doing. I've seen so many people go on Upwork or Fiverr and they're like, I'm looking for an Amazon VA. I don't know what the hell an Amazon VA is. And all VAs are gonna say that they know Amazon. You need to find one that knows your system. So as you're doing stuff, you're recording and documenting it, literally creating like a SOP, a standard operating procedure, for them to follow. They have to follow your system, because that's the only way you're gonna know if they're doing what you want them to do. If they come in with their own knowledge, yeah, they can input it into your system and correct and make things better, but that does not mean that they're gonna be getting the results you want, because you're literally working on 2 different planes. That's not how a business works. Everyone works together. These are the most important things. Just to review, pick the right vehicle, business model, which is wholesale or private label. Focus on one category, just not electronics, jewelry, clothing, or shoes. Funding, make sure you're playing on the right field. Depending on how much money you have available for capital, make sure you're utilizing, whatever tier you're in. If you have enough for local distribution, go there. Enough for retail, or too little just for retail, go there. Enough for national, I would still start on a smaller one, but I would look to get into national distribution as well. Building a team. Don't do it too soon, don't do it too late. Learn the business and replicate yourself as quick as humanly possible. I really hope this video helped. There's gonna be a part 2 coming out. I'm linking somewhere over here, which is how to get from 100K to $1 million months. But if you're looking for any help actually getting there, there's gonna be about 2 links below. There's gonna be one for our starter course where you could jump in, which is gonna also have like a little webinar where we kind of walk you through. You'll also have a link just to schedule a call with our team to see if you're a current Amazon seller, if we can help you just build out the system to manage it, or if you're looking to jump into Amazon but looking for some help, we'll have a link to our mentorship program as well. But if not, see you in the next one.